And it kind of all goes together that way. So it's our #1 tool. It's our favorite tool. We even have a tattoo of it. I don't know if you can see the Hue tattoo here.
There, he's getting it.
It's on my ankle, H-U-U. There you go. There's the Hue tool.
Wow. Very nice tattoo it is, too.
And I have
Thank
a matching
you.
tattoo, but I can't strip the clothes off. There, right?
It's on your arm, though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
on my arm.
yeah.
And
You
one
wanna give the
thing
history?
that the
Yeah.
skeptics, and we work with a lot of skeptics, as far as the Hue, they'll hear the Hue and go, oh my God, no, not for me, that's too weird. And then we'll say, well, it's really quantum physics. And then they kind of perk up and they go, oh, really? Because everything's a vibration or a
Right.
frequency.
Yeah.
And when we're feeling bad or maybe anxious or fearful or chaotic within, stressed out, anxiety, simply when we hue, it automatically, like changing the remote on your channel, it resets the vibrations to one of peace and harmony. It allows our consciousness to expand instantly. Suddenly, I can breathe again, I feel better, and I really have kind of a higher state of consciousness experience. And we've used this with literally, I don't know how many thousands of people, and the tears usually start to flow. And we've had people who are on the ragged edge and they're suicidal vets and they can't get any help. They'll call the next day and say, thank you for the hope that's starting to come back in when nothing else worked. So
Tell us a bit about the history of Hue. Maybe that's...
it goes back quite a way. We've tracked it back 5,000 years in our Just Say Hue book and took it all the way back to the Sphinx. The Sphinx used to be called Hue by the ancient Egyptians. The Greeks came in and changed the name to the Sphinx because they didn't know what it was, so they called it unknown.
Or puzzle.
Or puzzle,
Yeah.
yes. But the Egyptians used to gather there, and they would actually hue, a hue chant from dusk till dawn for 12 hours. And the hue was very familiar to that civilization. And we've found it in all these sacred books, in the Bible, and the Quran, and the Torah, and the Vedas have it. It goes back, the Gnostics used it, the Sufis.
The Freemasons, it's their
Freemasons.
secret word.
Yeah, it's
The
their
Or not so
Druids.
secret.
Right?
yeah,
It's
yeah,
out there
yeah.
now. The Druids, it's also where the word human comes from, which is my favorite. Human, God within man. That's where the word hue comes from. It's also in the Oxford English Dictionary. And in the Bible, you know, it's in the Old Testament, in the Hebrew version, hue, the word hue is laced throughout. So people of all faiths can feel comfortable in using this tool, since we've tracked it, you know, in all the it's the one word for God, actually, that we've found that crosses all the barriers into all the religions, the one word. So it's pretty cool. So aside from the history and the quantum element, it's an instant panacea. We call it the universal panacea to all that ails you. And, you know, we had a client once, and he had a plan. You know, with suicide, you need to know, do they have a plan? And if so, that lets you know how serious they are. They have a plan and a method. This one guy called, emailed, and he had a plan. He was in Washington. His testimonial's on the back cover because he was suicidal and he was going to jump into Crater Lake. Have you ever heard of Crater Lake in Washington? It's an actual... A crater came, I mean, it's huge.
And created
and there's no way out of Crater Lake because it's a... So his plan was he was going to jump into Crater Lake, which, I mean, is like probably 100 or 200 feet, you know, jump as it is. I don't know, maybe 50, but it's
Can't
it's
change
long.
your mind on the way down.
Yeah, and so he emailed with this, you know, I just want to, you know, do this and the Crater Lake thing, so we knew it was serious, and we said, just please start hewing. I mean, he didn't... You know, we just said, start hewing and give us a call. And so here's the response. Hewing has helped me get over that obsessive, oppressive, urgent, seemingly hopeless drive to kill myself and see other options. So, you know, he was ready to rock and roll that way, and he started hewing, and hey.
So simple.
Yeah. No therapist needed, no pill, no prescription. I mean, it's an amazing tool. So it's our #1 tool that we start all clients with. And anyone that isn't our client, we say, just go hue, you know.
Well, you know, in all the different traditions, everybody, you know, the Vedas, the Bible says that in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. So sound, vibration, everything is from sound.
Yes.
You know, the Vedas say that sans
Right.
the origin of the entire creation.
That's funny.
Actually, that quote is in our book.
Yeah. Yeah. In the beginning is the word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to, growing up, I grew up Catholic and studied with the Jesuits, actually. Went to a Jesuit high school for 4 years, and I used to ask them, because I was intrigued at the time. In the beginning was the word.
Yeah.
And I asked them,
Yeah.
so what is that word, Father? What is that word?
Yeah.
And they'd look at me like, how do I know what that word is?
Yeah, yeah.
Interesting that you come to this point now.
Yes.
Yeah.
And eventually I found
Yeah.
the word was hue that
Yeah.
created everything known.
Yeah.
And, you know, that was a breakthrough for me. So.
That also brings up, of course, obviously, Om.
Oh, yes. Yes,
And
yes.
you have Shalom, you have Salam. You know, that word also is right there in all the different traditions.
We have an actual section in the book, the hue versus ohm.
Yeah.
And what we found is the hue is a little quicker. It gets you there a little quicker.
Huh.
It's a little higher, finer vibration on a scale. In other words, there's inwardly, quantum physicists talk about dimensions, how many dimensions there are. As we go inward or upward in dimensions, it gets finer and finer, less matter mixed in with the spiritual
Yes.
elements.
Yeah.
So pretty soon you're in a much higher plane, we call them.
Yeah.
And hue comes from the very highest plane, all from the creator all the way down through. Ohm goes up through the fourth or fifth dimension. So it's a little quicker, it's a little
Is
faster.
it almost like bottom up as opposed to top down? I mean, what I'm thinking if hue comes from
Yeah,
up and then
exactly.
to a certain level,
Yeah.
and then ohm is from the bottom up. Okay, so ohm would have
Right.
an earthy, almost an earthier
Yes.
context to it, so that would really appeal to certain groups of people more and would get them there where they need to be.
Good
and
point.
And the hue
Yeah.
would be, again, appealing to a little different consciousness,
Yes.
but still getting you there.
And it is a
Yeah.
consciousness level. We've had people that they say they've worked with Ohm for a long time and that is their thing. So, you know, I
Yeah.
say, great, it works for
Then,
you.
yeah.
Yeah.
But other people, it's the hue.
Yeah.
And then we've had the people with the ohm that tried the hue and then never looked back.
Yeah,
know.
very. Again, different things for different people.
Yeah.
Not is one technique for everybody on Earth. There's different
Exactly.
techniques,
Yeah.
and this is obviously effective.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to talk about
Yes.
the manual?
Yeah.
Yeah,
let's
yeah,
talk-
yeah, we've got
The
that.
And I don't think
manual.
we've, I don't
We
think
haven't
we've
talked
covered
about
sociology
soul.
of the soul.
I was going to save that for last.
All right.
Okay, all right, so the manual.
The
Yeah.
manual, it's the Trust Yourself System, the ancient way of knowing. And a lot of people don't want to read a book. They don't have time, they don't read, they don't like it. I don't know. So we did a manual just for those people. And in there, it's the shortcut. It's like in a one-pager, it's a method to interpret any dream, and it's an actual formula. So this manual is filled with formulas, simple one-page formulas to
Like
interpret.
Cliff's Notes here. the
Yes,
Cliff's
Correct.
Notes
it's
of
the
the
Cliff
system.
Notes. Oh,
Yes.
that's beautiful, Pamela. Yeah, for dream recall, people have to remember their dream first, then in order to interpret it, you know. So we've got a section on remembering, and then decoding, and then tracking, and then
Yeah.
so we've got it's set up with an appetizer, and then the entree, and then the dessert. The appetizer is using discernment, it's using the hue, it's common sense. That's the appetizer piece. Then the entrees, the dreams, the signs, and the intuition, all in the Cliff Note form. Then you've got your dessert, which are the results.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
all about the biggest thing I hear is about getting burned and getting blindsided. If you watch the media, almost daily, some A-lister, or sports figure is saying I was blindsided or I was burned. And on the cover, we've got never get blindsided again.
Wow.
Because you are given those snapshots prior to, and if you paid attention to the sign or the dream or your gut, and then took action, you wouldn't get blindsided, you wouldn't get burned. That I can say 100%. So this is the little manual on how to never get blindsided again.
The title kind of says it all. There's an
Yeah.
ancient way of knowing. In other words, dream signs and intuition is a very, very ancient way of knowing.
Yep.
Yes,
that we've
it
kind
is.
of forgotten about today.
Yeah.
Especially this
But it-
culture.
Exactly. And it runs on autopilot. We all have dreams. Who hasn't had a coincidence or synchronicity or sign? We've all had gut feelings.
Right, right.
But we don't know what they mean or how to use them to make our
Catching
life
the red
really
flags,
better.
but not know how
Yeah.
to interpret
Yes.
them necessarily.
Yes.
We heard a great story the other day from somebody who was telling us about that. I think it was one of our guests. In fact, yeah, Cindy Gray was telling us
Yes,
about
yes.
that. She was driving into a neighborhood and she had a terrible, terrible premonition.
It was dark, late at night, not such a good part of area that she
Running
had
out
to
of
go
gas.
through, running out, getting low on gas.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, because she used that, she totally saved herself from
wow.
being killed, basically.
Basically,
Wow.
she didn't stop at the.
Yeah.
She went right through the red light.
Right on.
You know, there was no cars. You could see that.
Right.
But there were 4 rather derelict-looking men on each of those
Yeah, yeah,
4
waiting.
corners, and she just zipped right through it.
Good for her.
And if she hadn't, she just said it was just powerful. She kept getting the same message about
Right.
keep going, keep going.
Oh,
And
wow.
she did. And I'm
Trust
sure she's
yourself.
alive today.
That's right.
Well, we've only got a couple of minutes left. Maybe just to
Okay,
tell us about
sociology of soul.
Yeah.
This one is really cool. It's all about electronic substance abuse, television, computers,
Oh, I love that term.
electromagnetic frequencies. It's all about relationships. So this one is a really cool, hip, it's got a little bit of therapy in there, love, sex, relationships, and again, the television piece, which, Michael, if you want to talk briefly on.
TV deprivation, and I introduced it many, many years ago in a classroom at the University of Texas, and I gave the students, I said, this can be a 30-year grade. All you need to do is turn the TV off for 1 week and tell me what you did instead of watching those shows. And it was kind of a challenge that they couldn't turn it off, because at first I said, you're weak, you're not disciplined, I know you can't turn it off. So they got all emotional about it. And I said,
They
"I'll
grew
give
up
you-
with
I'll
this,
give
all
you a
these young
grade,"
kids.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they turned it off, and they did a journal. It was an epiphany for them and for me in terms of what changed in their life, that in terms of
Yeah.
being present. The consciousness started to change. They started to become clear inwardly.
Well, the focus changes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that book really is basically talking about the cage of consciousness, socialization, and how we're programmed to do certain things and how to break that programming.
Yeah, just like she ran through that light. I mean, most people would not go through a red light, even no one's around, but you're going to sit
Right.
there.
But you're programmed
And
that way.
she-
So you program-
Exactly.
Yeah.
And she was listening to her inner knowing. She just zipped right through
Yeah.
that red light, and I'm
Very
sure
good.
she's alive today because of it.
Yeah, and so
So-
SOS is a little combo, you know.
Yeah.
We want to thank you for coming on the show.
Out of time,
Thank
I
you.
can't believe
Yeah.
it. It's
Thank
so
you
great
so
to
much.
have
Glad to
you.
have you
Thank
back.
you so much for
Yeah,
sharing your
we
wisdom.
didn't even cover it,
Thank
did we?
you.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
you.
So thank you also for joining us on Out of the Ordinary into the Extraordinary. Don't forget,
God is alive and magic is afoot.
including high bad cholesterol, cigarette smoking, excess body weight, high blood pressure. Also, genetic predisposition plays a role. And as I tell my patients who may have a family history, genes load the gun, but lifestyle pulls the trigger. In the Preventive Cardiology program at St. John, we try to get the finger off the trigger. And we do that by attempting to effectively manage the cholesterol, the blood pressure, the diabetes, bring about weight reduction and increase activity.
Thank you. That was a good fast one. Faster. We've got to stop immediately. I'm being waved at. Thank you very much, Dr. Macheco, for helping us understand more about preventive cardiology. Most educational, and you are director at St. John Hospital of that program, and I wish you well.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching the SOC Show. You can reach SOC at 882-9600. See you next week. Now,